Alright, y'all. I really just want to make this video as a memory for myself, a tribute to my locks, something I can come and look back on, in a couple of years, when I turn 30, 40, whatever. Like, this is just a way for me to document this process and kind of talk about my feelings and like release what I've been holding inside myself, you know what I mean? So first I'm going to talk about why I grew my locks, and then I'm going to talk about why I'm cutting them. I actually, today is my last day with locks. I'm cutting them in a couple hours. It's like 8 something right now, and I got the appointment set for 11. So yeah, I'm going to my housewarming barbecue at 2 today. So I want to bring in the new look during the barbecue. It's a bit risky because what if it turns out bad? It is what it is. Hair doesn't make me, hair doesn't define me. I'm still me at the end of the day, and if they're real friends, they gonna accept me whether I have hair or not, With all that being said, I'm gonna talk about first why I started to grow my locks in the first place, and then why I'm deciding to cut them. So as you can see, my hair is fairly long. It's a little bit past shoulder length. These are like all my locks on the side and the front. They're barely to my chest. So I'd say just like the very top of my chest, but they're a good length. I've been growing these for 3 years, a little over 3 years. I started March of 2022, and it is now June of 2025. So just a hair over 3 years, and I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot in those 3 years, and I ultimately started growing them because I was coming out of a 2-year relationship, and that relationship was just not good for myself and my mental health. It ultimately helped me grow as a person, and honestly, I'm so thankful for the relationship that I went through, but it just was not the best headspace for me, and I just was continuing to do things for other people, and people pleasing, and trying to get caught between different like stressing myself out trying to please everybody when I couldn't do that. I just didn't have it, and in the process I ended up losing myself. And locks were something that I had I never really thought about growing them when I was a kid, but once I got to high school and I started getting into rap music and stuff, Lil Uzi Vert was definitely a big inspiration for me for starting to grow locks. When I was growing up, 2016, 2017, 2018, that kind of those couple years of high school. And I actually started my first set my senior year of high school, and I took them out after a month because I just I couldn't deal with not washing my hair. I was told by my original stylist not to wash my hair for at least a couple weeks, and I couldn't do that, especially I was playing soccer. My hair was getting dirty every day, and honestly, looking back, I definitely should have washed it. I really should have. But that, along with the different stigmas with locks, is oh, you're never gonna find a job, or this and that, they're dirty, this and that. And I grew up in an area that was not necessarily predominantly black. I would say is more predominantly white. Definitely had a lot of other Hispanics and other minorities and stuff, but I didn't really grow up around a really big group of black American kids. I was black, but I was African, so a lot of the other black kids I knew were also African, by association, whether they were cousins or family friends or whatever. I did have black American friends, but it just, none of us really grew locks or anything, you know what I mean? So it was just not something I was familiar with. But seeing it on other people, I was I want to try this, I think this would be cool. But I wasn't even allowed to grow my hair until the ninth grade. Yeah, ninth grade. Because it was just a cultural thing. My parents were oh, you can't have long hair. I was getting buzz cuts, nut cuts, whatever you want to call them. Basically my whole life. I didn't know what a fade was until I was in 9th grade. And in 9th grade, that's when I started. I think I got a burst mohawk fade. And I rocked that for a year or 2, and then I got the Boosie fade on accident. I showed my barber a picture, and I ended up with a Boosie fade. I rocked that for 6 months or something like that, and then I went and just got a regular high taper, and then I rocked the high taper for a long time, and I did different styles with that. I was doing twists, finger coils, all that kind of stuff. And I eventually decided to relock my hair after that 2-year relationship. I was about halfway through college, because I just needed, I needed a change. I needed to be able to do something for me, if that makes sense, something that would allow me to reconnect to who I was as a person, and something that I had been wanting to do for a long time that I had been holding off because of the opinions of other people just always in my ears. And I'm ultimately glad I did it because it helped me grow and learn and change and learn to love my hair in its natural state. At all different stages, like I went through the ugly phase, which honestly was not as bad as people, make it out to be. Like, yeah, it got like they do look like worms or whatever, and it's like, honestly, after the first like 2 or 3 months, it's like, okay, I'm used to this, like I'll be fine. But the reason I'm cutting them is because there's actually quite a few different reasons. One of them being, it's gonna sound stupid and crazy, like when I say it out loud, it sounds so dumb, but it's like, part of me is still, the little 19, 20-year-old me that started the Locs and was thinking like, oh, like this is gonna make me more attractive or whatever. But now it's like, I've definitely gained a lot more confidence through these Locs, and I feel like I've definitely gotten a lot more female attention, with these Locs. And I wouldn't say that I could attribute it to the Locs. I don't know what it is, to be honest. It could be the Locs. It could be just my newfound sense of confidence through the Locs. It could be a combination. I don't know. It's honestly not something I should really be concerned about. But honestly, like thinking about it, like I was like, dang, if I cut my Locs, like people are gonna see me in a different light. People might not, like what they see after. And it goes back to me not liking who I saw in the mirror at that point, and not being confident in myself, and not really being true to myself. And so now like I'm scared of like cutting them and like looking in the mirror and just seeing that same kid from 3 years ago. You know what I mean? A lot of my friends, like I've talked to a lot of friends and family about this. I've been thinking about cutting these for like a year. Like it was a thought. Like it was a thought that would come and go at first, and then like over the course of this past year, it started to become more frequent and louder, to the point where like I think it was around May was when I was like, okay, I think I'm ready, like to definitely start the process of transitioning away from Locs. And that was around the time that my brother had came up here too. Like my whole family came to visit, and my brother has Locs. I think he started his like a month before me, or maybe 2 weeks before me, or something like that, around the same time. But he actually cut his maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe like a month or so ago, something like that. And like when he came up here, he told me he was also thinking about cutting his Locs, and it was just crazy to me that we started at the same time and we're thinking about cutting them at the same time. And I was like, okay, well then it must be a sign, you know what I mean? And like I obviously didn't cut them in May. So like, what is it that pushed me to continue to prolong it? I just, just like afraid of who I am under the Locs, you know what I mean? I think like I've thought about it, I've prayed about it. I wanted to make sure that this was the decision that I made with full confidence. And if it took me, an extra month or two, it is what it is. Like I don't want to do this decision and regret it, you know what I mean? Like I've seen a lot of people cut their Locs, regret it, and I'm gonna keep these. So if I do regret it at some point, I can reattach them. But I don't think I will. Like I honestly feel like I'm ready for a new change. And in combination with that, I definitely want to experiment with different styles I didn't try. Like I definitely want to try cornrows and stuff. And I do miss, like doing the curly hair stuff. And I also have a scalp condition. It's called seborrheic dermatitis. I have some medicated shampoo and oil and stuff that I'm supposed to be using multiple times a week. And I only wash my hair once a week because it's just such a hassle to have to wash all of this. And I washed my hair, I think 2 days ago, at like noon, and it was still wet by the time I went to sleep. So it's just like, it just really deters you. Like the wash day is always so much work. Traction alopecia, I don't know if I have it or not, but I feel like some of my Locs that I can like feel at the root, I don't know if they're thinning or not because I can't necessarily see. Like my head is really full. Like I have a lot of volume and a lot of Locs, and I'm trying to like look and see, but like I feel like some of my Locs at the roots are starting to feel a little bit thin. And if you look at, I think it's these two Locs, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, to be honest, but there's like a thin spot like right here. Like I could probably pull this off if I really wanted to, right there. And same thing with this one, I could probably pull it off right here if I really wanted to. And there's a couple of Locs that I have that are like that, just kind of like all around my head. And then along with like, the roots feeling a little bit thin. Of course I could like combine my Locs and see if that works, but I've gone to so many locticians and done so many consultations. They're always like, oh, you're fine. and I don't really feel like they're looking into my hair as thoroughly as I would like them to. They're just kind of more so concerned about getting me in the chair, twisting my hair, and getting paid, which is not a bad thing. Of course, I want them to be paid and everything, but I just don't feel like my hair was well taken care of, and I want to, nip it in the bud before anything happens. Like I don't want to have any premature balding or anything like that. I just would prefer to take better care of my hair by cutting them. Like they're starting to get heavy, and as you can see, I have pretty small locks. Like I think over 100 locks on my head, and they're fairly, like most of them are fairly small. So at this length they start to get heavier, especially when you wash them, and that weight on your roots whenever whenever they're wet, even when they're dry, just kind of like hanging down like this, obviously that weight is gonna pull on the roots and make them a little bit thinner. So I just kind of want to catch it before anything happens, before it's irreversible, all of that kind of stuff. It's been a great journey. I've learned a lot, I've grown a lot, I've loved a lot, I've lost a lot, but the hair also has energy. Like I feel like I'm ready to shed the weight of everything that I've been through in the last 3 years, becoming a new version of myself. Like this year that I've been post-grad has been very transformative for me, and I'm excited to continue that process. And I feel like part of the continuation of the process is letting go of all of this, and that's not to say that I can never grow it back or reattach it. Like I said, I'm going to keep them as a testament to, something that I could never do as a kid, that I never saw myself doing. Like as soon as I told myself, oh, I'm ready, maybe like a month or two ago, I started to feel a lot more compliments. I started to get a lot more compliments from people, and they're like, oh, you have such a great set of locks, this and that. Like I was getting tested just to see if I was really gonna do it or not. And I, consulted a lot of friends and family. Like I said, there were some friends and family who were just like, no, don't cut them. Like, oh, like I like your hair like this and that. But they never really asked me, do you like your hair? Like, why is it that you want to do it? Like there were some people that didn't really care about what I wanted out of it. And there were some people who definitely were like, oh, like what is the reasoning for this? Like, how do you feel about this process? What made you come to this decision? And really trying to understand my thought process. And when they understood my thought process, when I explained it, they were like, okay, yeah, like it sounds like a good reason. It sounds like a good idea. Like, you need to do what makes you happy at the end of the day. People are always gonna have an opinion. May not always agree with yours, but yours is the only one that matters at the end of the day. Like, how you feel about yourself is the most important thing. So I'm done yapping. I've been yapping for 17 minutes. All right, I gotta give y'all a look real quick because I'm about to go to the barbecue, but here's the look. It's a little shorter than I would have liked it, right? But my new growth, I got my last retwist, I think, in February. So from February to March, April, May, June, it's like 4 months of new growth, which honestly, this is pretty good for 4 months of new growth. Give me maybe another 4 months or so, 4 to 6 months, and I think I'll probably be at the length I want. Hopefully I can expedite that with cornrows or twist or something, but I'll see y'all guys later. I gotta go.